There was a moment, brief, unscripted, quietly devastating, where the studio seemed to hold its breath. Ben Shephard has always carried himself with a certain warmth on Good Morning Britain. That easy smile, the way he makes even the most difficult conversations feel approachable. But something shifted recently, something that viewers didn't quite expect, and once they saw it, they couldn't stop talking about it. When Ben opened up about his health, it wasn't the words themselves that hit hardest. It was the way he said them. There's a particular kind of honesty that only arrives when someone has truly sat with something painful, processed it, accepted it, and only then chosen to share it. And that's exactly what many viewers felt they were witnessing. Not a prepared statement, not a media-friendly soundbite. Something far more real than that. What made the moment land so differently was Annie's reaction. You could almost see it register on her face before she'd had time to compose a response. Some people watching felt that her expressions said everything the conversation was trying to carefully navigate around. A flicker of genuine concern. The kind of look you give someone you care about when the weight of what they're carrying suddenly becomes visible. Viewers online interpreted that exchange as something quietly significant. Not dramatic, not performative, but deeply, unmistakably human. There's a reason audiences connect so intensely with presenters like Ben. It's because Good Morning Britain, at its best, creates these rare intersections between television and real life. The cameras are rolling, the schedule is packed, and somewhere inside that structure, a real person says something true. And for a few seconds, the professionalism gives way to something more vulnerable, more honest, more affecting. What's fascinating from a viewer's psychology perspective is how audiences respond to that kind of vulnerability from someone they've invited into their mornings for years. It almost seemed as though the emotional impact for many wasn't just about what Ben shared. It was about the realization that the person they'd seen laugh and question and challenge across countless interviews had been carrying something privately. That gap between the public face and the private truth is something television rarely bridges. When it does, even briefly, it tends to stay with people. Some audiences began wondering whether this was a moment Ben had been building toward sharing for some time. Whether the decision to speak openly, on live television, in front of colleagues and millions of viewers, was its own kind of quiet courage. The possibility that this wasn't easy, that it cost something, seemed to resonate deeply with the people watching. And then there was the aftermath. The conversations that continued online long after the program ended. The comments from viewers sharing their own experiences, their own versions of that particular kind of difficult truth. A television moment becoming a point of connection between strangers. That is genuinely rare. That is what separates a memorable broadcast from a forgettable one. Ben has never seemed like a presenter who performs emotion. If anything, he tends to redirect it, to keep the energy focused on the guest, the story, the audience. So when the emotion turns inward, when he becomes the one navigating the difficult conversation rather than guiding someone else through it, the effect is striking. It recalibrates everything. Maybe what stayed with viewers wasn't just what was said, but everything that seemed to exist in the space between the words. The pause before Annie responded. The careful tone. The particular silence of a studio that suddenly felt very small. Some moments on morning television are forgotten by lunchtime. And then there are the ones people are still thinking about days later, quietly, privately, wondering what it must have felt like to be in that room. What did you notice watching that moment unfold? Drop it in the comments below. I'd genuinely love to hear what you felt.